Greetings, everyone. This is the Hipster Snack, bringing to you another episode of the Tomodachi Bros podcast. With me today, in alphabetical order, are Mr. Ditaku.
Oh,
Yes. And also, Ditaku's brother, Noodle, has rejoined us.
Are you aware that in terms of huggability, Flareon is the most compatible Pokemon with humans?
oh no!
No, that checks out. Flareon is very huggable and would be very warm. That is very wholesome.
Goodbye. I'm leaving now.
that is a very wholesome fact, and in no way has any broader implications whatsoever. And I'm just saying, the least huggable Pokemon would probably be like Venipede.
Okay, so I have a question then, gentlemen.
All right.
If you were a Pokemon, what Pokemon would you be and why?
Oh, that's a good question.
I mean, obviously, I would become part of the glorious Eevee Master Race, so then I can be whatever I want to be.
That does give you a lot of options. There's definitely that. You know what? I would be a Garchomp.
Eevee is objectively best Pokemon. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong.
I would be a Garchomp. Now, here's my rationale. My favorite Pokemon is actually Flygon, but with Garchomp, I get to be a jet plane, I get to burrow, and everyone would want to hang out with me because I would always be meta. So, and no one uses ice types in Smogon, so I'm basically guaranteed safety.
You're basically a land shark.
Yeah, I'm a land shark. I just get to go around eating anything I want, like a Saturday Night Live skit, back when Saturday Night Live was good.
I mean, I already know that I'd be a dino. I already am a dino.
I mean, that's true.
I mean, Noodle can attest. I saw a dino and I'm like, oh my god, it's literally me.
This is my spirit
animal.
Because it's blind or because it likes to bite people in the ankle?
Because
both. Yes. He literally saw that and was like, oh my god, it's my spirit animal.
That's fair. That is fair.
You know, my one sadness is the fact that it actually gets eyes as a Hydreigon. I'm like, other than that, you know, dinos, Violets, I'm like, yeah, no, they're perfect.
Apart for the two heads that die.
No, they don't die. They just become limbs.
They become brain dead.
I was going to say, they die, dude. They die the same way Paris dies when it evolves.
Well, the creature doesn't die, but I mean, I guess they whatever. I'm okay. I'm going to agree to disagree with you. I mean, it's literally, you know, Pokemon Ghidorah.
My god, guys, Pokemon lore is so dark. Welcome to our top 10 darkest Pokemon lore countdown video.
Did you know that Sandygast sucks the souls out of other Pokemon, and that's how it sustains itself? It's a ghost type. That makes it spooky.
Jellyfin literally eats sailors.
You know, the Pokedex is usually wrong, right? Like, it literally says, like, Alakazam has an IQ of 5,000 or something absolutely ridiculous like that. It's always wrong. Like, this is why 10-year-olds do not make good field researchers, okay?
It literally says that
Are you saying that Macargo, the flame slug, which is supposedly hotter than the surface of the sun, which would ignite all the oxygen in the atmosphere, isn't actually hotter than the surface of the sun?
Yeah. Like I said...
Are you saying that the gigantic whale is not, in fact, have a lower density than hydrogen gas?
Yeah, like I said, 10-year-olds do not the best field researchers make. They tend to exaggerate or misunderstand certain elements of science. Welcome to the high-quality culture. Welcome to the high-quality culture you guys can expect.
And they say Digimon's not, you know, a good representation of...
Metal Greymon literally has nuclear warheads in its chest and can produce a limitless number of them. Just saying.
Animon is equal power to him, and he literally just sings bad, and that's his attack.
Yep. It's about equal in strength, yes.
So yes, I guess what we're saying is Edamon's bad karaoke is on equal power to a nuclear weapon.
That checks out.
It is literally a war crime.
Which is kind of a segue in its own right, because today we are here to talk about heroes. And I don't mean protagonists, because there's a difference. A protagonist is just the viewpoint character. It's who the story wants you to follow. I'm talking about a good old-fashioned hero, okay? Deadpool can be a protagonist. He is not a hero. At least not in the sense that we're talking about. And just want to clarify that.
Yeah, and honestly, the reason why we bring it up is because, okay, take a look around. Modern pop culture is right now, I think, is in a very bad place because really every single protagonist you have, they're jaded, they're cynical, they're very, very, very pessimistic. None of them really have any sense of nobility, any sense of trying to do the right thing. It's just, the world sucks. Nothing ever is going to happen that's good. Guess we better be awful people and kill people. And you know, I hate to say it, but, you know, it's not the 90s anymore. Don't have to be, you know, just entirely depressed all the time.
See, you say that, but we're still kind of suffering from the cultural fallout that was the 90s.
Only 90s kids will understand.
I'm saying, like, the last 25 years have really been tainted by what the 90s was, and what it represented.
Only 90s kids will understand.
I don't want to understand. Neither of you are 90s kids. I'm the only one.
I was like, yeah, Dutaku and I were born in the 80s.
You know, see, I've heard
you're children of the Cold War. I'm the one who was born after the fall of the Berlin Wall.
My parents were boomers, okay? I come from an older family.
Hey, technically speaking, our parents were boomers too.
Oh yeah, I forgot that. It's Cog's parents who are significantly younger.
Yeah. I mean...
Fair point.
I mean, our parents are like the youngest that you can still be considered a quote-unquote boomer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I've heard it such that it's like, you know, in order to be a 90s kid, you had to have lived through the 90s. Or I've also heard it that some people say that, you know, you have to have been born in the 90s. I honestly, I mean, it's like, what constitutes a millennial?
It really depends on your definitions, honestly.
Yeah, where does millennial end and Zoomer begin?
Because, depending on definition, it's like, depending on your definition, we're either the latest batch of Gen Xers or we're the first batch of millennials. It all depends on where you draw your line in the sand. Mm-hmm. The broader point,
I'm pretty firmly in the middle of the millennials based off of like all of the lines that people draw, but
right.
I was born in 1991.
You share your birth year with Sonic the Hedgehog.
Curses.
You know what I share?
There can be only one.
You want to know? Here's a fun bit of trivia for you. You know what my birth year is shared in? Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up. For real. Seriously.
Why did you do that to everyone who is listening to this podcast?
You have just been rickrolled by proxy. Yes.
Why?
Cog, drop the opening beat to the song here. Just like the first 10 seconds will do. Thank you.
You know, I guess you know what it says. You know the rules. So do I. Say goodbye.
The broader point we're trying to make here is the cultural... The cultural through line of heroes and main characters in fiction are largely going one of three directions, and they're all a bit disappointing. Because you're either getting what Dutaku said, you're getting the angsty anti-hero who's basically fresh out of the 90s because they grew up on like 90s X-Men comics, and now that's like all they know. or they're going the route of the self-insert wish fulfillment fan fiction because, look, Mom, you were wrong, and I'm writing this story about how wrong you were, and I definitely wasn't the one who was wrong. It was definitely you, Mom. And
oh my goodness, why is evil McMomington like such a relatable and good character, even though he's clearly the villain?
It's like, why is the villain so based? Like, what
why?
gives?
Yeah, why is the villain like such a good person then? And yet, we're supposed to be rooting for the hero who's like an awful person. And on top of that, the hero deliberately doesn't put their shopping cart back.
That is villainous. I'm just saying. Like you can. Okay, this is a thing, and I'm sorry I have to go on another tangent here, but going to the grocery store is one of those exercises. It's a personality test in disguise, because if you get a shopping cart, and you get a shopping cart, what you do with the shopping cart at the end of your journey dictates like how I evaluate you as a human being. Okay, because like if you go to the corral and you put your cart back, you're probably a good person. If you leave your cart out just wherever, or worse yet, deliberately let it roll to the parking lot, you're probably the lowest form of evil, and Satan has a place for you in hell. So, I mean, I hope you enjoy it.
Like, you literally are only saving yourself like a minute, and you theoretically are, leaving not only the people who work there in jeopardy, but you're also threatening your own vehicle, because who's to say that shopping cart isn't going to roll and hit your vehicle?
Yeah.
You ding dong.
So yeah, that is a good point. The good heroes return their shopping cart. Ultraman returns his shopping carts without fail. I'm just saying.
That's the one bit of that Dogen skit that you're just going to remember.
That really
Ultraman
just stuck with me.
On the women's only train. Ultraman returns his shopping cart.
Yes. Yes.
Ultraman, the hero that we need, but not the one that we deserve.
We deserve Ultra 7.
I mean, Ultra 7's heart was always in the right place. He was just willing to get his hands dirty if things went awry. Like, actually, that's the thing. We did talk about this about a year or two ago. We talked about how Ultraman is kind of more relevant today than he was in 1966. I maintain that's still very, very true, because the third family of heroes that you run into are usually just really, really dull, because like I don't know if they're the self-insert, but the person writing this isn't an interesting person, or if things just went wrong. But like, okay, let me transport you guys back in time. Okay, let's go back to the early aughts. Okay, only aughts kids will remember this. Remember when we were excited for Marvel movies? That was a good time, wasn't it? Like, Iron Man was coming out, Captain America was coming out, and oh man, like I went and saw the first movie I ever saw opening weekend was Captain America: The First Avenger. Like, I was pumped. I want to see Captain America. Captain America is a good man. He's not like the good guy in the broad philosophical sense. He is, without qualifier, a good man, and the entire film is building up that he's this noodly little, no offense, very lean,
none taken,
very lean young man, and he's like, the entire point of the fight in the alleyway where he's like, I can do this all day, is because he literally can't. He will just like be knocked to the pavement at some point.
Yeah, it's just bravado, and the entire reason why he is given the chance to join the super soldier program is because the one doctor is like, oh, you want to go and kill Nazis? Is like, no, I just want to stop another bully from bullying people who can't defend themselves.
Yeah. And he even explains, he's like, good becomes great, bad becomes worse. It's going to exaggerate these things. And he was chosen because, like, time and time again, he's shown to be very resourceful. He's shown to be very kind. He's shown to be very giving. It's the goodness of the man that made the greatness of the superhero. And, like, that movie's still great. I like that. A+. Wonderful cinema. Like, just, so good. And then, a couple years later, they announced a Miss Marvel movie. Now, here's the thing. I don't read modern comics because they haven't been good in a while. And so I was thinking, like old school Carol Danvers with the Warbird uniform and a sense of humor and, able to have fun and be kind of jocular and verbose and fun. And then what we got was not that. Well, what we got was not that. But,
see, the funny thing is with that character is that there actually was a Marvel Cinematic Universe version of that character that you mentioned. But the problem was it was in the Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes, where basically she was Warbird, but she had the original very 70s Miss Marvel outfit.
Oh, the black and red one?
The black and red one with the really, really schnazzy, the like 70s Ishinomori scarf and the domino mask. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, what we got was this self-insert fanfiction character who was not fun and had no personality to speak of, who was there because the writer had a political agenda to grind. And I'm like, this is not fun. I'm not having fun. This is not...
You see, there could have been, you could have had Carol Danvers, the strong, no nonsense, I'm gonna be the one to make it happen character. You could have had that character, and it would have been very interesting as a there's this godlike character who has amnesia, who slowly becomes aware that she's actually the part of this one, conspiracy within the Kree Empire to basically use her as a living weapon. That would be really interesting. But yeah, the entire strong, independent woman. It's like
you do that better than anyone I know, Utaku.
Oh, well, you're welcome. It didn't need to be a thing because here's my thing. Like, if you have to be like, look how strong and empowered I am, it's like you're not that. If you have to tell people you are that, you are not that.
As a wise sage once said, when you draw attention to the breaking of gender stereotypes, it kind of implies that this is the exception and not the status quo.
Sonic Boom really was way better than anyone.
Sonic Boom was fantastic and totally deserved a third season, I'm just saying.
The fact that they literally ended the series with, a joke about, it's like, people are going to want a third season, but we really don't need to make it.
Yeah, basically. And no, that is actually a very interesting segue. Let's talk about Sonic Boom for a second, because that show also talks about good heroes. There's a fantastic episode about it, as a matter of fact. I forget the guy's name. You have
to be more specific, because I'm like, I could think of at least three that could, talk about this.
That's true.
Also, because I have never seen a single episode of this show, so
you need to. Imagine, so Sonic, right?
I've seen the clips, including the one that was just referenced. I've seen the clips. I've seen the things of
Sonic
getting pulled over.
Basically, just entirely those clips are effectively it's just that, but for like
they're like 15-minute episodes. Yeah.
It's that level of writing. I mean, there's one I think that you would really enjoy where there's this one character who shows up, Shifty the Shrew, who is basically 90s Sonic, but as like his own radical character, and everyone loves him, but it then later is revealed that it's Dr. Robotnik creating a character to annoy Sonic into just leaving the village.
Swifty's episode was fantastic.
Yeah, it was.
The episode I had in mind is that they meet this owl, and he's basically a manager for role models. Is his whole thing. And so he goes to Sonic and Company, and he's like, you guys are the heroes of the village. So you guys have to be good role models. And he's giving them all these like rules and stipulations. And he's like, good heroes don't partake in violence. Good heroes will use their words. And Eggman the entire time is taunting them like, yes, use your words. It's totally working, as he's like winning the fight. And Styx, who is Best Girl, is just like, no, this is stupid, and I don't want to be part of this stupid thing. You guys can sit here and be good role models. I'm going to fight Dr. Eggman. And I love Styx. And she's been canonized, by the way. The ending of Sonic Frontiers canonizes Styx's presence in the greater Sega Sonic universe. I don't care if it's spoilers. It's important to me, okay?
I mean, Teen Girl Squad, Alex Jones, yeah, okay.
Yes.
I mean, is she still, Teen Girl Squad, Alex Jones?
We don't see her in Frontiers, but it is implied that it is the character that we know.
Okay.
Amy name drops her because she mentions at the end that she's probably going to go on vacation with Cream and Styx. So.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
that's a combination.
I've kind of realized how awful that sounds out of context when I said it out loud, and I'm just not going to dwell on that or the intro to this episode. So, moving right along. Ahem. So, no, the entire point is Sonic and the others are kind of like, guys, we may not actually be role models because we're kind of slackers. We kind of half bake it. We do what we do because it's the right thing to do. We don't always have, not everything we do is perfect. We're flawed people, but we're people. And that was the entire point. And Sonic actually gets in trouble because he calls a guy and people. And every time he does it, everyone who's watching gasps at him like he just said some kind of horrible thing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the one stereotypical mom character, the one walrus, literally clutches her pearls.
Yes, she literally clutches her pearls. The Sonic Boom is so good. I'm just saying. The first game may have been garbage, and the second game may have been just okay, but that series more than justified its existence. Man. But that's
what
the whole...
are your thoughts, Professor, on Sonic's arms being blue?
I do not care. It's whatever. I didn't notice the difference until the internet pointed it out for me. It means that little, guys. Really.
Not according to some people, but okay.
Oh no, you've doomed us all.
I mean, the professor literally started complaining about Pokemon typings, and I mean, a lot of people were like, actually...
My most popular video in several months, yes. That one blew up, even in ways that I didn't expect. I kind of thought it would get a good response, but I think in part Barry Bandit and Gym Leader Ed kind of advertised for me, and yeah, it really blew up. So that was cool. But no, the whole thing was you can have your hero, you can have your doer of great deeds, and the hero can indeed be flawed and very interesting, but they can still be a good hero. And also, here's the thing that a lot of modern writers need to take to heart and that we can't shut up about. They don't have to be a political pundit. That's the best part. Hey, there's another Sonic Boom joke for you, where they go to the floating island of robots, Morristown, and they're like, oh, it's a paradise. And they're like, why is it a paradise? It's because no one posts their political opinions on social media, so everyone gets along. And I'm just based.
See, here's the thing, and I forget who it was. I want to say Ted Kazan, who literally was a communist who was blacklisted during the 1950s for being a communist who was a screenwriter. And the funny thing is not only was he blacklisted in the industry, he was also blacklisted by his own communists because he made an article where he basically went, yes, we need to make messages about communism in our movies, but if we make them overt, then people aren't going to want to see our movies. We need to actually have them be entertaining, but also have those values within them. Here's the thing. People didn't like that because it wasn't overt enough. But people aren't going to watch it. He's absolutely right. People aren't going to watch things if it's not entertaining. It needs to be good entertainment. And I mean, that's kind of the way I present my values and my stories, is that I'm trying to make good stories. If people take something away from my stories in terms of, value judgments or whatever, that's cool. But I'm trying to, make people happy.
Yeah. And that ties very directly because every story has a main character, or main characters, as case may be. And I think this is part of the reason why American comics are floundering and manga is booming, particularly in the shonen demographic. Because I'm going to be straight up, Goku is not a heroic person. Goku is a man-child and kind of a bully who doesn't really know when to reel it in. But there are lots of characters in the same medium who are fantastic heroes. You have, Jonathan Joestar, the gentleman of House Joestar. You have, Kenshiro, the wandering hero of the plains, the one that everyone looked to as their only salvation. You have all these great characters. You have All Might, who is just super cool, who puts on the smile because people need him to smile for them. That's inspirational stuff. I'm reminded
survivor of the Hair Kingdom, Bobobo, who terrorizes the ending of that millennium.
Bobobo, who just cannot be predicted whatsoever. I mean, he makes me laugh. That's all it needs to be sometimes. Sometimes a character can be very simple in the concept, but the execution can be amazing. None of these are particularly complicated concepts. Deku as a character is not a complicated idea. He's a normie in Superworld who wants to help people out of the goodness of his heart. That's a very simple concept with a really solid character execution, and we see that when he runs to try to save Bakugo, essentially his bully, from a situation where he might literally have gotten himself killed. That showed Deku had a heroic heart. That begins his hero's journey. And when was the last time we saw something like this in American comics? I couldn't tell you. I don't read them because they're all garbage.
They've kind of not been good for
a while, yes.
I mean, I haven't ever read American comics, so I can't really say. But I can say I think that kind of strikes on a bit of a difference from what you were going off with the Sonic Boom role models of the heroes. They shouldn't necessarily be role models. They can be, but they shouldn't be necessarily. But they should be aspirational.
Yes.
They should be characters that we not necessarily aspire to be, but aspire to be like. So we should all aspire to use your example, run towards danger to help those who can't help themselves.
Right.
We should all be able to aspire to that.
Yeah.
Even though we're not going to be normies in superhero world, but that's just that ultimately is, I think, what kind of makes a good hero. In a lot of ways. Not universally, not necessarily. Because I could definitely go down some contrasting heroes and say Lord of the Rings, that as a separate thing, but
right.
But I think a lot of good heroes are good because they paint the picture of us not how we are, but how we both should and can be.
Very well said.
For instance, kind of going back to what you were talking about, Professor, with Goku, for instance, it's like, you probably don't want to be a battle hungry, fight loving, gluttonous, guy who's just always oh man, I can't wait to fight people, but constantly just having a very open mind. Always looking for new adventure, always trying to constantly improve yourself, and having no judgment but being very friendly. Those are all good qualities that Goku has that you could go, you should be like that. That is what a good person ought to be.
That is true.
You don't want to be perfectly like Goku because he's literally based off of Sun Wukong, and you do not want to be Sun Wukong.
No.
But yeah, I mean,
but you want to emulate the great aspects of a hero while understanding that their flaws are what drive a story forward. We wouldn't have gotten the Tournament of Power arc if Goku wasn't a complete moron.
And yeah, then we wouldn't have the drip on what was it, Ultra Instinct?
Yeah,
drip Goku.
Drip Goku. Yes.
But then we wouldn't have had Ultra Instinct Shaggy, which is
the God of Destruction, Ultra Instinct Shaggy, who was the most important character in fiction.
Like, I'm only using 5% of my power.
I do love that they took that meme and just rolled with it. There's something to be said for that.
Yes, there is definitely something to be said for that.
I mean, it's funny, actually, that not only did Warner Brothers go and roll with it, but apparently even Dragon Ball did, because they basically made Gohan Blanco canon.
Oh, yes, they did. Now, and that's a thing. Heroes can be very different, but the most important thing, I think, is kind of what Noodle was saying, is to aspire to have their best qualities with a healthy understanding of why they're not perfect and ostensibly shouldn't be. Not only is it unrealistic, it's also quite boring in execution. That's where you get your Mary Sues or your May Ray Sues in the Star Wars universe.
Man,
okay, so
had such potential.
So to kind of go down on both of those paths and to reference back to Lord of the Rings, as I had mentioned.
Fire away.
Yes. So a lot of people who have read the books, because Aragorn is a very different person between the books and the movies. As much as I love the movies, and as Dutaku will tell you, I watch those movies religiously. I marathon them every December.
It's true.
They still pay attention as God intended.
Black Friday, he gets a cold turkey sandwich and he's like, "All right, Dutaku, we're going to do this." It's like, "All right, this is what we do."
Do you do the 11-hour extended cut?
Yes, we do.
Nice.
That's the only way you're supposed to do it. And
that's right.
So that's why we get our cold turkey sandwiches.
Makes sense.
Yes, as God intended. But anyways, Aragorn in the movies is very much plagued by guilt and whether or not he will be a good king. And I know a lot of people look at the books and they see an Aragorn that's, basically without flaws. He's like, oh no, he's not plagued by self-doubt. He's not like, oh, will I be a good king? Should I even become king? He's like, nope, it's my destiny to become king. I'm going to be king. And yeah, I'll do my best to be a good king. There's no doubt or anything in that. But you also see over the course of the Lord of the Rings, two other great lords of men. You see Boromir and you see Faramir. And so you see Boromir fall to the temptation of the ring for honestly quite understandable reasons. He's been literally fighting a war his whole life, and he sees this weapon that could be used to turn the tide and save his countless lives of his countrymen. Of course he's going to grab it. And then you see his brother Faramir, who also looks at the ring and goes, no, I'm not going to be that. But he is plagued by doubt. He is plagued by darkness and depression and, this losing war, and that his brother also sees, but he doesn't succumb to that temptation. And so the way that I have always thought about that, when you see these three great lords of men, these three heroes, is that, Boromir is the man that we are. Aragorn is the man that we should aspire to be, and Faramir is the man that we can be.
Can I
to kind of put some heroic virtues and aspirational things out there.
No, I agree. And I also, just want to say that something I've noticed in a lot of the Lord of the Rings, things that I've seen, just kind of all the additional media, guys, you don't want the ring. All these Lord of the Rings, battler, you can claim the ring. It's like, you don't want to claim the ring. That's the entire point of the books.
That's why they gave it to Frodo.
Of the movie. You don't want the ring. It is literally power that, yes, it's power, but it will destroy you. That's the entire point.
And the greater you are, the more it's likely to corrupt you. And you know what? I'm just going to say it because I'm tired of seeing it posted. They couldn't ask the eagles to fly them. The greater you are, the more the ring tempts you, and the eagles were basically one step below angels, okay? They would be tempted just the same way Gandalf was. That's why Frodo needed to carry it.
Never mind the fact that in The Hobbit, the eagles actually go, yeah, we're threatened. We can't go to certain places because the farmers will shoot at us with arrows. You don't think that, all of Mordor had
some longbows.
Arrows. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, they had their own literal air force with the fell beasts.
Yeah,
but anyway,
so they couldn't ask the eagles. Stop posting that. It's not funny. Read the book and you would understand.
Movies.
Yeah, you
also
there,
they
buddy.
weren't. They also weren't just Gandalf's taxi service. They were their own people with aspirations. Gandalf just didn't have summon Eagle 6 as a level 6 spell slot that he could just cast to summon 2d3 plus 2 eagles for 24 hours. That Gandalf isn't a wizard. Gandalf is a literal angel.
How would you feel if how would you guys feel if a bearded dragon just rolled up to you and was like, "Hey, buddy, can you carry me 30 miles over to the next the fiery volcano so I can go inside?" You'd be really annoyed if that happened, and probably very confused. That's the eagle's perception of the whole situation. That's actually another good point. Actually, Frodo is the humble hero, and that's the thing. He has to be, because the burden he's carrying is more tempting the greater you already are. So that's why he was chosen, because the halflings don't really want very much in life apart from 5 meals a day.
Understandable. Have a nice day.
Never have I related to a fantasy race more.
Oh, what? You don't want to be, the dwarves, where it's literally, I just want to, make my really cool, basement and just live there.
I mean, yeah, there's definitely something to be said for that.
I think there's something to be said with a lot of people. I think there's a reason that Minecraft is the best-selling video game of all time.
Yeah. Definitely, there's definitely some kind of neurons being activated there. No, that's the thing, though. It's they are different types of heroes with different types of goals and aspirations. And again, you have Frodo, who's the humble hero. He's not particularly strong. He's not super fast. He doesn't have any real powers. He's a guy. He's a short king. Okay, he's a short king along with his pocket prince buddies and cousins. And I can't claim credit for that. I got that from Seth Zintoch.
Yeah, I know. It's just that it's pretty funny, though.
So he and his cousins and his best friend are like, "Hey, guys, we're going to walk. Where? To hell." What? Yeah, literally. It's
hell. Yeah, by the way, hell is over there, 3,000 miles away.
Hell is 3,000 miles away. How do you know it's hell? Trees don't grow there. What? That's what it says in the book. Trees don't grow in Mordor. That's why it's hell. It's also a reference to the Psalm, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. War is bad. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
No, I'm not even being facetious. It is. It's terrible. But yeah, they are humble heroes. Whereas, if Aragorn, Gimli, and Legolas as they're veteran heroes who have been in combat and have undergone training. They are above the humble hero, but they're not. Well, I don't know. In the movies, they are kind of super powered.
See, here's the thing. Like, people don't understand, but like Aragorn in the books is literally a guy who's basically he would be like level 17.
Yeah.
That's the reason why he's so good at everything he does, because he effectively is like, yeah, guys, I've seen some stuff. I've been around,
been around the block a few times.
I mean, there is a scene in the extended edition where Eowyn does talk to Aragorn and mention, which is actually referencing events that were mentioned in the book, that Aragorn rode to war against Mordor before. He traveled down to Gondor. He rode to war with Theoden's dad and was a captain of Gondor fighting the Corsairs of Umbar. This is not the first time that he has gone to war. Yeah. And not the first time that he has led men into war.
Yep. It's also mentioned that the dwarves who traveled with Bilbo were trained in the art of war, because if you're in a mountain stronghold, you gotta be strong. You're gonna be picking up some kind
actually just, we're blacksmiths and tinkers and toy makers.
Well, I mean, some of them were, but if you were a blacksmith, you'd be in fantastic physical condition.
Yeah, but what my point being is that they were not just, like random schlubs the way that the Peter Jackson films like imply that they are, which...
To be fair, the animated version does kind of the same, because half of them are supposed to be like kind of handsome and treated seriously, and poor Bombor, everyone just kind of treats him as a punchline. But in the book, he's actually this really nice, warm, helpful guy who's like one of the first of the dwarves to put his faith in Bilbo.
It's because of his name. It's because his name is kind of goofy.
I mean, it kind of is.
Because his name is goofy, and the fact that he's literally described as
he's the fat guy. He's as tall as he is round, yes.
Yes, and that, like, canonically, after the thing, he gets so fat that he can't, like, leave his room because he's just so fat. Because he just, he takes his share of the treasure and it's just like, I'm going to just have all of the food that I could ever want.
It helps to put it in context to know that The Hobbit was originally a bedtime story for his son, and that's why the dwarves' names rhymed.
Also, here's the thing: like, you actually look at old, like the lists of names of the dwarves and the elves in the Eddas. A lot of them are not only do they rhyme, but he basically stole a lot of them.
Yes.
Like, that's where Gandalf literally comes from.
Yeah, it literally is like
the name of a dwarf.
Wise elf. Yeah.
Yeah.
It means staff elf. Gandalf literally means elf with a staff.
Okay, and here's the thing. This irks me because dwarves are so much more than the stereotypes. And I get it. The movies needed a comic relief character, and lo and behold, Gimli was there. But in the books, Gimli was a competent fighter. And you know that competition that Legolas and Gimli had, where they were counting how many monsters they killed? Gimli, in the books, wins that competition.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. You needed comic relief. Okay, I get it. And it's fun.
It's because Orlando Bloom is hot. That's the entire reason why they keep being like, he's so good at fighting.
Oh, no, he is. Legolas is a very talented warrior, and I'm not going to take that from him. But Gimli won the competition and was treated very seriously. Like, this whole thing is Gimli, son of Glóin. He had an illustrious heritage. He was a shining star among dwarf kind. And just, I hate that. I hate not only that everyone just thinks that every dwarf is just Gimli from the movie version specifically, because they always get treated like they're punching bags. It's like, no, okay. The dwarves are so much more than this, and they're not all Scottish, and most of the Scots I've met are like over 6 feet tall. So it's like, I don't get where that even started.
So what you're saying is...
So what they're saying is they're Corum dwarves.
I was going to say that.
I'm the one who's actually read the book.
Actually, I read Corum too.
Love it having the brothers here together on the podcast.
I've read Corum too. In fact, Hawkwind is the one I haven't read. And
God, you need to read Hawkwind.
I was about to say, I've read Jerry Cornelius. I don't think you've read Jerry Cornelius.
I have not read Jerry Cornelius. Anyway, but enough, Brothers Pugum pissing competition about what Michael Moorcock books we haven't read.
Actually, that's a fascinating way to detour this a little bit. You guys have read these books, and I haven't, but I understand they do something very specific with their heroes in those books.
Yeah, that's basically where... Basically, the entire thing with that is effectively Michael Moorcock realized that he effectively was writing the same archetype again and again and again. So he was like, yeah, so basically there's this multiverse of worlds, and my heroes are all just the same, effectively the same soul who's reincarnated time and again, constantly to save these worlds from like great calamity. And so, yeah, that's where the Eternal Champion comes from. And effectively, it's to save the world from law or chaos, from just destroying everything.
Usually chaos, because chaos usually plays better as a villain.
It kind of does. But, I mean, humans generally trend towards neutrality, so, I mean, I get it.
I don't know, man. I've played enough SMT to know that law is not particularly good either.
You just jelly that law has all the cool monsters?
Law, okay, I'll say this. Law has some of the more interesting... it has the evil god tribe, which is actually where Yaldabaoth is, which is really cool. But at the same time... they are really, really annoying in terms of trying to actually I want to get the law ending. Okay,
no, they tend to be really hard, yes.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to be lawful, but I'm like, I am really, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to, accept authority. I'm supposed to, to abide by the rules. But it's like they are very, very, very annoying in terms of the construct of the game.
No, they kind of are, but that's because Atlas honestly struggles with script writing. But actually, again, I think that's kind of an interesting turning point. The whole thing with your hero is that compunction to act, and actually, that's an interesting thing. SMT could shed a little bit of light on this, because your hero has choices to make, and you as the player get to reflect on those choices. And actually, I think games that give you, well, let me clarify. Games that are well thought out with their morality systems can be an interesting litmus test to reflect on who the player is, especially on their first playthrough through the game. And the whole law-chaos dichotomy is a very simple one, and one that Atlas often doesn't handle the best. But, again, I think it's really interesting, because you have those choices throughout the game. It's like, are you going to lean more chaos? Are you going to lean more neutral? Or are you more lawful? But either way, you're still the main spearhead of the story. So, whether you become a hero, an anti-hero, or an outright villain is really just it's all in your hands. So what are you going to do with it?
I guess ultimately is what we're saying is that you need to play Strange Journey and actually finish that game there, Snick.
God, that game is such a grind.
It is, but it's really good.
Like,
and honestly,
biting down on a sand belter, just...
So it's, okay, you want the hockey stick difficulty curve of 4?
You know what? I got further in 4 than I did in Strange Journey. I beat 4 Apocalypse, so I don't feel too terrible.
Obviously, you just need to play Demi Kids.
Oh, good. Let's talk about the time when SMT tried to be Pokemon and forgot how to, and just made SMT with bright colors.
Actually, that's a funny thing, because that's the entire reason why I got into Megaton to begin with. Because a certain professor goes to me and is like,
have you ever played Demi Kids?
Hey, Babby Ditaku. Yeah? You like mythology, right? Oh, yeah, I love mythology. Did you know that there's a game where you play as a person who summons demons? And little, edgy, little dimple-faced little Ditaku goes, we?
Back when we were the Tomo babies rather than the Tomo bros, and we had a very tall woman whose face is never shown on screen taking care of us in our nursery with huge imaginations.
Didn't you guys meet when you were 16?
We were in high school, yes.
Tomo babies.
High school is basically babies. It's fine. Leave your angry comments down below. Hey, I'm in high school. What the heck, man? It's true and you know it. Yeah, I bet Cog in middle school.
I remember being 11 when I met the snack.
You
were also a tiny little diaper-wearing babu in the nursery with the rest of us.
I was about to say, actually, it's funny because you met my littlest sister, who literally
actual baby. Yes. I don't think she remembered me because when we talked on the phone that one time, she was like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was in high school when you were in diapers, kid." So. As my beard just spontaneously grows another 3 inches out of my face.
Yeah, it's funny. You should tell your niece that you were a member of ZZ Top.
You know what? She's getting to that point. Another year or two, I can probably start telling her stupid crap like that, and she'll repeat it to my sister, and I will laugh so hard.
As someone who actually did that to his littlest sister, you really shouldn't do that, because I'm just saying, she came to me later and she's like, "You guys basically gave me a complex. I couldn't trust anything that anyone ever said because you guys kept screwing with me."
You know, that's what pilgrims do, though. And, snacks are not that different. We are not so different, you and I. Oh, actually, that reminds me. That's another interesting hero, because American comics used to be good, don't you know? Let us talk about Ted Cord, the original Blue Beetle. Ted Cord.
The movie's coming out soon.
It's out already. It's apparently the very definition of a 7 out of 10 meh superhero flick, as I've heard.
And it's already bombing at the box office.
Of course, no one wants to see
superhero fatigue is real.
Yeah, no, it totally is, and that's a shame, because I actually like Blue Beetle, both the original and the legacy version. Actually,
I was about to say, do you like Ted Cord or do you like Jaime Reyes?
I actually like both. If I had to pick one over the other, I'd pick Ted Cord, because I think he's just fundamentally Ted Cord is what happens if Bruce Wayne was actually compelling. Because he really wasn't powered at all, and
he just had gadgets, didn't he?
Yep, he was a gadgeteer, and he was also kind of Tony Stark if he was compelling, because his whole thing was he was an objectivist, and he basically had this: you don't compromise with evil, because if you do that, you become evil yourself. So in his last moments, Ted Cord was canonically killed, and is one of the few characters who has remained dead, near as I know, or /care. The whole thing, I forget who it was. There was a villain, and he's like, "Cord, I've always respected you. You should join with me, and we can fix all the problems in the world via supervillainy." And several people have commented, like, "Oh, well, Cord could have pretended to go along with it and infiltrated him from the inside." It's like, that is not who Ted Cord was. Ted Cord did not compromise his stance. He was a good man, and he would never, ever toe the line.
That's the thing with Steve Ditko, is that he if I remember correctly, he was the one who made him. And it basically was a case of he made very unflaggingly principled protagonists.
Yes.
Like his version of the Mr. A, the Question, basically, is a very objectivist, very principled person who doesn't accept evil, shall we say.
Yes. He has ways of dealing with that.
See, I would agree with that thing, though. If you compromise your principles, they're no longer principles, they're preferences. That's just and my personal philosophy there. If the moment you compromise a principle, it ceases to be a principle.
That is true facts.
Which is why cultural relativism is cancer.
It is. And its logical evolution of moral relativism is the same. And that's the thing that irks me so much about it. it's not exclusively Western characters, but it's predominantly Western characters who dip into that. It doesn't matter. We can be as evil as long as you're less evil than the evil you're fighting. It's totally okay. So like violence just solves everything, and I'll just kill all the bad guys, and I'll win, Dad.
Okay, wow, jeez. I know you want to be, fight God. Just get over yourself.
Wasn't what I was going for, but now that you've said it, I'm like, yeah, no, no, you are correct.
Is it possible for us to talk at all about media without going on a deep tangents about philosophy?
Yes, I just don't want to.
I'm just curious. I mean, I'm not complaining. That I mean, that's like half the reason that I come, other than to just like completely shake up the Snacks view about a piece of media.
Thanks for that, by the way.
One of these days, we're actually going to get the professor to read Starship Troopers, and he's going to be like, "Guys, I can't believe I never read this before."
I still have my copy. I just need to sit down and read it. I own it.
Are we gonna? Or is 1 week gonna be Snacks book talk?
I promise you that will happen.
What? I'm gonna bully him. I'm gonna get my video out, and then I'm gonna bully him until he does it.
Fair enough.
I know. I'm gonna be like, okay, you got to do Knights of the Old Republic, but then you got to do your book talk, man.
KOTOR is the next April Fool's episode. I'll just leave that as a teaser if people are still watching this far into the video.
All right. You're going to have to do Bloodlines then.
What, for like the next April Fool's or just in general?
No, that's going to be like, all right. So, I did my book. I did my book talk. I did my project. Now, you got to do Bloodlines.
A Let's Play or a review?
Yeah, Snack Plays.
Okay, that's fair. I had to pick my own clan, yes?
Yeah, that's fine.
Fair enough. All right, I'm not going to play Nosferatu. That's my only thing. I don't want to play a Nazi.
No, I'm not gonna force you to play any given clan. If you want to play Bruja, you can play Bruja.
Probably Bruja or Gongrel. Those are my favorites. So, actually, yes, this is a time that I can self-indulge a little bit. Let's talk about heroes that I'm really proud of having made, and that would be the Legend of Joe and Joe. Because Gitaku was kind enough to GM a Vampire Dark Ages game for us. And Noodle...
I knew exactly where this was going.
I am really proud of this, okay? We talked about this a little bit in the Tabletop She Bros videos playlist, in the playlist section. But Noodle made... I forgot what clan he was. What was Josephus?
Josephus was a... He was
it's an old clan Bruja, wasn't he?
He was an old clan
right.
Bruja, so I had time travel, or I had time manipulation instead of just going fast.
Right. And I played a Gongrel, and the whole thing was we were Joe and Joe, because he was Josephus and I was Joachim, which is spelled with a J-O. I picked it because it's one of those names that you basically don't pronounce any letter the way you expect to. And we decided we were going to be the Jolly Christian Cooperation Vampires.
And the funny thing is that we each decided that entirely independently.
We did not plan this together. It wasn't until we revealed our characters at session 0. And Yutaku was like, What the heck? Why do I have like 2 Crusader vampires in my circle? Did you guys plan this? And they're like, no, but we did make minor alterations to our character history, making them basically BFFs. And yeah, we traveled Europe in the name of God and Christendom. So it was pretty amazing, including a time where Yutaku was like, oh, you found this cursed book. And it's basically just like talking mad smack at you because there's a literal actual demon in it. And we're like, you know what? We're not going to take this. We have principles. And if we betray the word of God, we're no better than the beast vampires. We're going to exercise it. And Taku goes, wait. I had something stupid in my ear. Let me be clear on your plan here. 2 vampires, undead creatures, by the way, are going to invoke the will of God and exorcise a demon out of a cursed book. And we said, yes. That is
we fucking stutter.
Were we unclear, good sir? And we did. We rolled really, really, really well, as I recall. And Itaku's like,
the only reason why I allowed you guys to do it, by the way. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, you just, God looks down and goes, you what, mate? And you die.
The fact that we both had true faith was probably very helpful there.
It was. Yeah. We had to earn that crap, too, because we took quite a beating to get it. And after we exorcised it, Itaku was like, okay, fine. You exorcise the demon, but you're going to take, like, a crap ton of aggravated damage.
Yeah, you guys, as I recall, basically had aggravated health damage for, like, the rest of the...
Pretty much until the game ended, yes. We never 100% healed it off because of how slow that stuff is to heal.
But it was worth it. Because we were crusaders of God.
Exactly. No regrets. Hashtag Christian goals.
I mean, the fact that you had that one... the one with Sombra who was like, oh, you strong men of God.
And we're like, thoughts are temporary. The crusade is eternal.
Yes, we basically kept ignoring her, and it just drove her even more stir-crazy than she already was.
Yep. No, she wasn't a La Sombra. She was a Cappadocian.
Yeah, she was Cappy.
Because her entire thing was basically, this was my character that was like, yeah, I just need a character who has like any particular discipline. And I'm like, oh yeah, Cappadocians just have aspects. They just have the ability to summon ghosts. I'm like, wow. It's a kind of a wonder that you guys got canonically killed because you guys are really, really strong.
Yep. So, yeah, we went the entire time. Not only were our characters basically sworn brothers and best friends, everything we did was like, we're going to stick to the good book, and we are not going to deviate from it 1 inch in any direction, except the straight and narrow. And, Itaku tried a couple times, but I think he realized pretty early that we weren't going to budge.
Yeah. Actually, and eventually I just kind of leaned into it. The overarching plot that I had was basically the fact that this was in the middle of great unrest in the Mediterranean. They were in Sicily at that point, and basically what I had them do, like, oh yeah, by the way, and on top of this Norman invasion that's happening. There are effectively Saracen vampires that are coming in from Egypt, and they're going to try and take over Italy. And this is going to threaten Christendom because, where's the Pope?
Right. And we're like, yeah, that's not going to happen on our watch.
Yep.
I was basically Christian Kenshiro, because I literally had the scar of a cross carved into my chest. So I was like, you know what? He just goes shirtless. He just has like a vest, like Kevin in Seiken Densetsu 3. And so just everyone, the first thing you see is this 6'6" gangrel with a cross carved into his chest.
Yeah, didn't you say that it was like some kind of inquisitor tried to seal you away with it, and it just...
it was the guy who sired me did it in mockery. Because he's like, oh, you're so pious to your God. Let's be a reminder of what you are. And when he got turned, he was like, yes, this is a reminder of what I am. And that is a man of God, even if my body is that of a monster.
And so there's your cool. Just a 6.5 foot tall German, knight just walking around the Mediterranean completely shirtless.
He had a vest, to be fair. He had a vest and pants and boots. But yes, otherwise, yes.
I mean, you guys had a Turkish not nun, as I recall, and on top of that, you had whatever Bacon Bits' character was.
I genuinely don't remember. He didn't leave much of an impact on me in that game.
Bacon Bits didn't actually join that game. We had Clockwork with us.
I was about to say, was that Clockwork? Okay.
Yeah, we had Clockwork. He was playing a Zemitsi Plague Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah.
That does sound familiar now that you said it.
Yeah, that seems like something that Clockwork would do.
Yeah, he was playing a Count Dracula flesh crafter plague doctor.
You know,
he was a little bit of a mad scientist.
I think we kept him around because honestly he was too useful to like not have around, but
I mean, we did get beat up quite frequently, and he's like, I'm just gonna, okay, let me fix up your damage.
Let me use my flesh crafting to put you guys back together before you get yourselves killed. All in the line of God, my friend.
Well, see, I seem to recall the reason that he was part of the group was because my character was a Byzantine noble, and because he was, from Transylvania, and therefore, he was from Romania, he had to learn his doctor craft prior to being embraced. He had traveled down to Constantinople for his education.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think Joe and Joe are excellent examples of truly heroic heroes. They had very set values that were very plainly stated for the world to see, and by God, they stuck by them. Thoughts are temporary. The kingdom of heaven is forever.
One of these days we're going to get Tortoise in on a vampire game. We're going to play another Dark Ages game.
I want to bring back Joachim. I would love to play him again.
I mean, yes. One day there will be all three brothers Pugum in one call, and I'm not sure the world is ready for that.
I sure am, though.
It's going to be a lot of Warhammer.
Hey, I've spent this entire podcast painting Warhammer minis, so
that's fair. You're now imagining just a Pugum with a paintbrush in his hand and a little figurine in the other.
Are you doing your Raven Guard, or are you still doing your Skitarii?
I'm painting Skitarii for a Hunter Clade kill team, but yes. Guys who are 100% not heroes, I want to be pointed out. Not at all relevant. But.
I mean, they're not really like human much anymore. I mean, they're as a crazy old space wizard once pointed out, they're more machine now than man.
Yep. I mean,
toaster and evil.
Yeah, that's a world that needs a few heroes in it. That's why, in terms of Warhammer 40k lore, my favorite is the Salamanders. Because of all the faults that Vulcan could have had, it's that he cared too much.
Yes. They're a good legion. Them and the Blood Angels. I think they're both good legions. And also my boys, the Bananas. Although, I'm so sorry there, Noodle. I did not realize how hard yellow was to paint.
Yes, for those who are not in the know, because Ditaku was the one who got Tortoise and I into Warhammer, and as previously mentioned in other things, Ditaku does not have the best eyesight. During the COVID pandemic, Tortoise and I decided to paint a bunch of Imperial Fists for Ditaku, and we ended up painting 150 Imperial Fists for Ditaku. And I no longer want to ever paint the color yellow ever again.
That's a little racist. I'm right here, dude.
You can be yellow all you want. I just
not going to paint yellow. Fair enough.
I'm never going to paint. What I was just saying, Snack, is I'm never going to paint a little model Snack. That is what I'm saying.
That's fair. I'll own that.
But yeah, that's. I would say that's one of the reasons that I paint the Raven Guard, and so I only have to paint black. But The Raven Guard was my. They were my boys well before that. They have been my boys since Ditaku got me into this game in 2007. Dear God, in the depths of 4th edition.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Now
Dear
all
God,
our beards, all of our beards are growing past our knees now. Well, for those of us who have knees.
Well, guys, I guess we got to start that ZZ Top cover band now.
We'll get Cog to do guitar.
I mean, I do have quite the beard already. Just, need to let that grow a bit further. Not sure what the Elder Queen's opinion on me growing out my beard would be.
All hail the eternal Eldritch Queen. May she reign forever over all.
Yes, all hail Alicia Elfrieden. Her will is eternal. Elfrieden be praised.
Well, now that we have worshipped our Lord and Savior, unless you guys have any additional comments, I think it's time to bring today's episode to a close.
We have gone to many strange places, but I think this has been a very fun conversation.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
I enjoyed myself immensely.
Indeed.
And if you people at home enjoyed yourselves, or if you made it to this point, leave a comment down below saying that you got to this point. And I don't know, I'll name something in the game after you in the future. That'll be fun. See how many.
Also, comment what the most cuddly Pokemon is. There is a correct answer, and it is Flareon.
That's fair.
Boy.
That's fair. So leave a like if you haven't, subscribe if you haven't. But thank you, Master Ditaku Pugum, eldest of Brothers Pugum, for joining us this fair evening.
No problem.
And thanks to you, Master Noodle, also of the Brothers Pugum, for joining us in this shockingly riveting conversation that took many odd and unexpected turns along the way.
That's what you get when you have more than one Pugum in the same place at the same time.
I do look forward to having all the brothers together at least once. That would be...
one day we will find out where Pugums come from.
Now, I'm pretty sure they come from the Pugum store.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, thank you guys at home for watching. This has been another episode of the Tomodachi Bros podcast. Let us know your thoughts, comments, emotional outbursts, and deepest desires to cuddle a Flareon in the comments down below. And we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to the Tomodachi Brothers Review Podcast, produced and recorded by The Hipster Snack, Ditaku, and Cog. Sound design and editing by executive producer Sean Taylor Brown with Cog Sound Engineering. Music written and performed by Sean Taylor Brown with Costas Vaz of Core Insight Studio on the drums. We hope you enjoyed this episode. See you next time.